So whereabouts are you today?
I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, fantastic. How are things in New Orleans?
Well, Mardi Gras is heating up. Fat
Oh,
Tuesday
right.
is next week. So things are getting crazy here again.
Are they going to get crazy, or is it different than it has been because of COVID and all that stuff, or people kind of over it?
We're lucky because it's so beautiful here at this time of year. So since so much is outside, it seems like people, and you can drink on the street. So everyone's like, why be inside?
Right.
So
fair enough.
hopefully that'll slow any spread.
Yeah. Very good. Well, so congratulations on the new album. It's been getting some great reviews, I see, and that must make you happy and all that stuff.
It's a great feeling. It's just a great feeling to put it out after so many years.
Right. So for you, what were the reasons why it took so long to get it out?
Well, I'm really big on my team for the record. I really wanted to find the right producer, and that took a bit of time. I'm just very sensitive to who I work with. And also, I just think it wasn't meant to be until it happened. A lot of those songs, I wrote about 3 of them, like right at the end. Right. And I think I'm just so happy. It was like songs like Pointed at the Sun that the record obviously needed,
Right. And so your producer is Brad Cook. So tell me how he became the guy for the job.
Well, I've been a big fan of his work, obviously, with Waxahachie, especially. That album, St. Cloud, is incredible.
Yep.
And I had met him before, and I just really thought that he was like a wonderful energy. And finally, we got on the phone during lockdown, and I planned on just driving up to Durham and hanging out with him, seeing how it went. And instantly when I got there, I just knew that this was the vibe.
Yeah. So how did you work together? Because producer can be anything, depending on who you are and who you're working with.
Well, I'm lucky that Brad is also an incredible musician. He plays about everything. So that's really helpful when you have to keep it, to a small group in the studio during COVID times. But for the most part, I had some demos of stuff and I would show him something and he would just really elevate all the sounds. I'd bring him something and I'd say, I want to try stuff with drum machines, or I want to try this song, but I'm not quite getting the attitude that I want to get across. A song like Rhododendron. And we would just kind of jam together. He's a very experimental musician. He's really into, like, you play and you find the thread, a lot of it kind of broke me out of my little like folk singer box that I'd lived in for so long. Right. It was a new way to explore music.
Yeah. I mean, you're definitely not sounding like a traditional folk singer on this record. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Was that something you consciously tried to do?
Yeah. More so in a way of giving myself a challenge and just wanting to feel like I could write songs in a different way. I felt like I was kind of trapped in this box of like a certain form. And I really just wanted to experiment and like push my limits, I guess.
And you have some co-writes like Pierce Darrow. I think you're written with Helen Harrison, who I believe worked with Natalie Bergman as well. So,
wow, cool.
Yeah. So how did the writing work for, say, Pierce Darrow's?
Well, Kellen played bass with me for many years. So we always talked about writing together, and I brought this little snippet of a song. It was just the beginning and it sounded very much like a folk song. And we had been listening to a lot of New Order and, just we're like, let's try to just change the vibe of this,
Right.
And he would play synth and put some beats down, and I would just kind of off the top of my head sing sounds or sing words. And it was very, spur of the moment. It felt like it kind of opened me up a little bit more.
Okay. And there is a video for it. I have to ask you if those are your dogs.
Trying to avoid running into my ex on Broadway. No one recognizes me anymore, girl, I'm lonely. Vampires and thieves, someone will bleed, will it be me? Rich kids who wanted everything, holding the bow while my ears ring.
They are not. I'm
Oh,
actually
Lord.
very afraid of dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but they were so sweet. They're so sweet. I forget, I think it's Alan and Uno, and they actually speak Spanish. They don't speak any English.
Because they're pretty big dogs, so that must have been a lot for you to stand there like that.
Yeah, but they were very sweet.
Yeah, that's a relief. And I wanted to talk about the title track because the production on that, are there horns in there? It feels like the centerpiece for the record, and it just has this very kind of stately, hymnal kind of vibe to it.
Sky and the trees and birds and the bees. Life on earth is long. Rivers and lakes and floods and earthquakes. Life on earth is long.
Yeah. Well, Phil Cook is the keys player on that, and he is just from another world. And I mean that in the best way. He's just such a pure energy. And he came and just laid down that keys track in the backyard with me and Brad. And I sang a little bit over it, but had to do it wasn't the vocal that we used.
Right.
And then Brad brought in the horns after. Because of COVID, it was so hard for everyone to be in a room together.
Yep.
But when I heard those horns, I just was so happy, that song really means a lot to me. It took me years to write that song.
So when you say it take you years, does it mean you had bits and pieces and you were adding on to it, or you kind of laid it down and then came back to it?
I had little bits and pieces. I had the phrase "life on earth is long" maybe 3 years before I recorded it. And I just kept thinking, what does that mean? That can mean so many things. And what do I mean by that? That happens a lot with lyrics and me, that I'll say something and I'll be like, I don't even know what that means. And then later on, I find out what I meant. But it just took a lot of time. It took a lot of me really trying to get clear about what I was trying to talk about. I wanted to talk about the very hard and complicated parts about being alive on the planet right now, and the parts that are just so beautiful that you wish you could hold on to forever.
Yeah.
The idea that sometimes life feels way too long, and then also sometimes it feels so short. It feels like a rallying cry of we will survive. Life will not become extinct,
Right. Because I think people are feeling a little unsettled about the way things are these days.
Yeah.
People, I don't think, saw the last year and a half coming, and they're having everybody dealing with it in their own way. So, and then there are some pretty serious topics addressed on the album besides that song, "Precious Cargo" being one. My understanding is you went to ICE and kind of did some investigating, and of course, for folks in New Zealand, ICE is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Service in the States. So can you give us a little background on that? What happened?
Precious cargo at the river, me swimming just to get across. With the babies on my shoulder, grab my neck so they don't get lost. We made it through the jungle, no water there for 2 weeks. Many dead that we walked by, and thugs hiding in the trees.
Yeah, there's a nonprofit that's nationwide here called Freedom for Immigrants. And basically they have a 1-800 number, and people that are in ICE detention can call it for free and let them know where they are and what kind of help they need, because sometimes people are just so cut off from the outside world, they can get stuck in the system.
Right.
So I decided I had time, and I volunteered to be someone who could go visit people and try to help them as much as I could. And I was able to connect these 2 men that I visited to a local immigration lawyer here in New Orleans, put on a benefit show, help pay for it with the community. I just really felt like, as somebody who spent a lot of my life, my younger years, wandering and riding freight trains and hitchhiking and being this wanderer that people now kind of, elevate. They're like, wow, that story is so great.
Right.
For me, I was like, I don't really see the difference here between you and me and these people, So I just felt really like I made these really great connections with these two men. And, I talked to them about their journey and decided that, if it was okay with them, I wanted to write a song about it.
Cool. And one other track that I wanted to touch on, especially Saga, because I was listening to your vocals, and it sounds like a very nice vocal performance on that one. I'm wondering what the environment is when you're actually laying down your vocal. Are you around a bunch of people? Are you by yourself? Are you getting coaching or encouragement or what?
Take it. They always want you to take it. Just close your eyes, baby, fake it. Burning inside out.
Yeah, it kind of depends. With Brad, it's very different than what I normally did because he's a lot less, he's so much about the moment and about capturing the moment. And he doesn't need things to be quote unquote perfect. We were recording at his home studio.
Right.
Sometimes you can hear birds in the background because the windows are open and it was hot outside, you know? So I was just using a SM7B, what a lot of people use for podcasts. But I feel like I was able to reach a much more vulnerable place with Brad because what he does so well as a producer is, at least for me, he made me feel like I was in a very safe environment where I could explore feelings that maybe I was afraid to explore because I just, I didn't want to. I'm very much like, I want to be in control.
Right.
And with Brad, I got to places vocally where I was like, wow, I'm not in control anymore. I'm just riding this feeling. And that's what I wanted to get to. Was
that new for you to get to that place when you were making a record?
Yeah. I'm so neurotic. Oh my God. I'm a New Yorker at heart. So sometimes it was like, I'm going to do this little thing here. And it's like, I can't turn that part off. And with Brad, I was really able to just be present and be with my breath and be in the moment of the song. And I've learned so much about how much higher your art can reach when you let go. And you just don't try to be so perfect all the time, you know?
And so with that in mind, do you do like a lot of pickups or is it one performance usually when...
It's normally one. I mean, I wonder if he would come back and be like, I edited that. I don't think so.
You never know.
But I'm pretty sure that we did a lot of, I was definitely doing takes, and then for a song like Jupiter's Dance, where the vocals are very stylized, we did a lot of layering and a lot of takes. Also with Wolves, we have so many vocals on that. He let me all day just be like, I got a little ditty here, so it's just tons of loops.
Right. And getting back to Saga, what can you tell me about the song itself?
During the pandemic, I wrote that before pandemic, but in lockdown, I experienced so much about memory and time and issues with trauma and just stuff that I thought I'd worked out or gotten over, that because I wasn't able to just run around like I normally do, like I've been doing since I left home. Suddenly I felt like the past was very close, and I felt like I was experiencing memory in a different way. Things that I thought, oh, I got over that. All of a sudden it felt so present in my body.
Right.
And the song Saga is a lot about saying, kind of trying to bravely face some things, bravely face a younger me that was much more vulnerable, that was in relationships that were very abusive, and being able to be like, I don't identify as somebody who was abused or survivor anymore. I identify as an adventurer. I identify with my future, while still digging in, and trying to tell that younger version of myself that I care about her, but still being like, there is so much beauty to come, and trying to look forward to the future.
So speaking of looking forward to the future, are you doing that with your music? Are you thinking about what you're going to do next already?
Well, there's a lot of touring to be done. So that'll keep me very busy. And I really hope my touring will lead me to New Zealand because I'd love to go back.
Definitely.
But I got a lot of tours and I've been working on the live show. So that's what's next.
Are you able to write when you're touring? Some people can, some people can't.
I try to. The iPhone is a great invention for me because I can just all day long put little ideas in there,
Right. And that's cool. And what is the live show like? Or is it material wise? Are you kind of reaching back, or are you kind of concentrating on?
I will, for sure. Yeah. Depending on the set length, we want to play. I mean, I love every song on this album. So we've worked out all of those. There's a lot of stuff from The Navigator. There's stuff from Small Town Heroes that I really love. And there's even some of my very early songs that I like to play by myself, little parts of the set. So I feel lucky at this point. Like, I've written enough stuff. I'm like, wow, now I finally have a good set.
Very good. Well, we got to leave. Unfortunately, our time is up, but thank you so much for talking to me. Hopefully we'll see you down here in New Zealand sometime very soon. It would be great.
Cool. See you soon.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.